Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. Today I've got an install review video for Roadactive suspension. Why'd I get this thing? I've got a regular cab short bed pickup. I don't tow anything with this truck. I don't plan to. It has that street truck kind of vibe. So why in the world did I get the Roadactive suspension, which seems to be marketed mainly for like towing assistance and performance? Well, if you look on their website, they say that this is not only good for ride assistance, but it acts as a sway bar and a traction bar. So sway bar is going to prevent that side-to-side roll, which I am looking for. Even though these trucks come factory with a front sway bar, I thought it might perform even better with one in the back. This is supposed to take care of that. And then I don't do too many burnouts in this thing. It doesn't have that much power, but I have done a couple and I've gotten a little bit of wheel hop, especially when it's raining outside. And it's supposed to act as a traction bar to take care of wheel hop as well. So this might be the only video on the internet that is a review of the Roadactive suspension, not for a towing application. So let's open the box, see what we got. Gotta love the box in a box. Cool thing is that these things are pretty much fully assembled. You're supposed to be able to just throw them on there. That said, I may run into some issues with this install because as soon as I got this truck, I bought some leaf springs from LMC Truck. They sent the leaf springs and they were definitely aftermarket because the leaf clamps were a completely different design than OEM. So I may run into some issues where this part gets in the way of that clamp on the leaf spring and might have to modify it. So hopefully that goes well, and if so, these things should go right in. But we're going to get some pre-measurements before we start the install. This video is not sponsored. Paid for these myself, and you're going to get an honest review today. I just evened out the tire pressure all the way around. So we have, call it 34.5, real rough and dirty. 34.25, got a little bit of that Chevy lean still. Just under 33, we'll call it. And just over 33. This is the stance that I like on the truck. I've done nothing to the front. I left in the worn out coil springs. And I actually really like the height of it because it looks somewhat lowered, even though it's not, but I have plenty of clearance. I never have to worry about clearance issues. And then the back being just 1 inch higher, I think it looks almost level just driving around. I accomplished that with 2-inch drop shackles in the back, as well as removing the overload leaf from the leaf springs, which took out like 5/8. So these things are going to raise it up just slightly, but I'm hoping that it's less than 1 inch. And that way I keep my ride height about where it is now. So I'm just gonna see what we're up against here. This is the leaf spring clamp that I was talking about. And all this thing is really doing is keeping these things from like scissoring. So if I put this on and this thing is in the way, I'm just gonna remove it, and then I may just end up leaving it because it's riveted in. Or I may end up doing I'll drill a hole through and put one of these lower to hopefully stay underneath the Roadactive suspension. But let's just see what it even looks like. Okay, so there's problem number 1. I don't know if you can see that, but I don't have the clearance to fit this through over the leaf spring. So I may have to remove the part of the shackle and then put this on and then put the shackle back in. When I called the company, they said you need a good like 4 inches above your leaf spring before you hit the bed to easily install this thing. So with the drop shackles, I don't have that space. So it's not going to be the easy install that they usually promise to just stock trucks. That's right though.
2 hours later.
Okay, Crystal had a meeting, so we couldn't film, but let me just show you what I figured out. Crucial step in this is to put your truck on jack stands and then drop the suspension. That's how you install them. I had not done that previously.
What? What an idiot! Oh, what a loser!
So if you look down here, suspension is dropped and it pulls that shackle forward and provides a lot more room to get this thing over the top of the leaf spring. So as soon as I let it down, slid right over, and then you just kind of unwind it or whatever and throw it. It's so easy to install. But I got it tightened up, and then they give you this little spacer for the lighter duty option, and as long as they fit in to your spring right here, then you're good to go. On the other side, I intend to make that gap just a hair tighter because I'm thinking if I raise this side up a tad more, then it'll completely even the truck out, make it perfect, get rid of the Chevy lean. So this side's done. Let's go do the other side. Oh, and we lucked out with not only not having to remove the shackle, but this clamp is totally fine. We have a ton of clearance here. I don't think that's going to come anywhere near when I'm driving down the road. So good to go. So all I'm doing now is twisting this thing to make it longer so that I can get the bolt that goes underneath out past the axle. So the instructions tell you to grab a wrench or whatever and tighten this thing, but I found that it's just as easy to just use your hands and twist this thing. It does the same thing. This gap right here is going to close up by the time I have this thing tightened. This might be the only problem I run into given my setup. But on the other side over there, to help with the Chevy lean, I have about a 1/4 inch spacer in between the axle and the leaf spring, which gives the Roadactive suspension more room to have this end pivot down and touch the leaf like it's supposed to. So I'm going to loosen this up and see if I can just slide the whole thing forward to find the spot I need. If that doesn't work, I don't know. I'd have to like put a 1/4 inch spacer on this side and then a 1/2 inch spacer on the other side. But then the whole thing is higher. I don't know. I think I know what I need to do here. Sliding it forward does pivot it to where both of these are touching the leaf. But as far as I know, this front one has to be backed all the way off, or it has to be hitting the leaf spring mount area. So I'm gonna have to just take this off and move it back here to find that sweet spot. And then unfortunately I'll have to go on the other side and do the same thing just so they're even. Turns out if you only have 2 leaves, you're gonna be too close to the axle to get this thing to sit right, at least on this year, make and model. So I've got this 1/2 inch spacer. I've got the 1/4 inch spacer over there, no spacer right here. I'm gonna have to put the 1/2 on the driver's side, since that's the low side, and then move the 1/4 inch spacer onto this side. And then, yeah, I'll be right back. Let me take care of that real quick. We got the 1/2 inch spacer in over there, 1/4 inch one over here now. We should be able to just throw this in. Yes. We are back in business. We're as close as we can possibly get with this kit. So if you're running one of these applications, just know 2 leafs and a 1/4 inch spacer is the bare minimum. My kids always ask me, how come you're really fat but also really strong? It's from stuff like this. Drinking beers while you're working on the truck. So I'm just tightening this until the thinner piece that they included fits in between these springs. So from here, we're just gonna tighten our 2 nuts in the back. One, and the jam nut. We are good to go. Okay, got the tires back on. We're gonna drop it down. We'll do a quick measure to see if we gained a whole lot of ride height. And then we'll take it for a drive and see how it feels initially. Let's see, looking at it, yeah, I gained some height. What was it before? I don't even remember. Well, 35 and an eighth. Over here, 35, 3/8. That's 33 and an eighth, so yeah, I don't like that. 2 1/4 difference. We might be adding some weight later, but let's just go see how our ride is. I have no idea what to expect. They say that this product adds spring rate, but does not diminish the ride quality unloaded. Big claim. First test, we have downhill to uphill, right turn, major sag usually. So let's just see. That felt better. I'd say less roll, definitely, around the corners. I mean, it is grabbing the road. It's hooking. There's really no, like it's pretty racy feeling. Should we try burnout real quick? No wheel hop. That's pretty good though. So traction bar wise, it's doing the job. So I'd say for like traction bar, sway bar, we're getting some pretty good results. What did I pay for this thing? I got the $80 off deal. $480? I can't remember. Well, we'll see on these bumps if it's really worth it. There's a really bumpy section highway just before our exit. We're on the asphalt right now. This is not a problem area. But as soon as we get up here, it turns into the concrete and it's just washboard. Now I still feel the bumps. Maybe a little more controlled. And usually that bump that I hit coming off the highway, it'll like roll the truck a little bit. That one felt a lot more controlled. So final thoughts, we're definitely getting some performance out of these things. Again, this is a 2-wheel drive, non-towing sort of street truck application. I took the overload leaf spring out, so I only had 2 leaf springs in there, and we're getting a lot more stability. Sway bar, traction bar type effect. The ride quality certainly hasn't been hurt at all, and we're noticing, particularly going over bumps, when normally it would kind of roll and kind of, I don't know, what do you call that? Lose control just a little bit. It feels a lot more stable. I guess the downside is I kind of lost a little bit of my stance that I was digging. I got an inch of height on the back, and so it's a pretty noticeable rake now. And I suppose I could try to figure out how to put some weight in the back to compensate or raise the front a little. I don't know. But at any rate, I think it's a good product and useful for the non-towing application if you're looking for what we got out of it. So leave some comments. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you have questions. And we'll see you on another one soon.